All right, we are back with a journey to the Eastern Hemisphere, and we are reading Land, Water, and Climate in China. And just a reminder that I do my best reading the words and showing the pictures, but I'm definitely not perfect. So we'll begin. China is generally considered the world's fourth largest country based on area. Some sources, however, list it third, just ahead of the United States. Its total land area is about 5,963,274 square miles. China is located in Eastern Asia between Vietnam and Mongolia, though it borders 14 other countries, including Russia, North Korea, Kazakhstan, and India. It has approximately 9,010 miles of coastline, mainly along the East China Sea. The Yangtze and Yellow rivers are the largest of China's thousands of rivers. China is the largest country located entirely in Asia. I'll try and make sure you can see our picture. So this is a view of the Himalayas from the International Space Station. All right, and then here we can see a picture of the Tiger Leaping Gorge on the Yangtze. Okay. So because of its large area, China has a variety of climate zones, from the tropical south to the subarctic north. It experiences frequent typhoons along the southern and eastern coasts, along with floods, tsunamis, and earthquakes. The land in the west is mainly mountains, high plateaus, and deserts. For this reason, most of China's large cities are located in the plains and deltas of the east. China is home to the world's highest peak, Mount Everest, which straddles the border of Nepal at 29,035 feet above sea level. In fact, mountains cover 1/3 of the land area in China, with the largest mountain range being Himalayas. And now we'll move into land. The three major land regions of China are the mountains in the southwest, deserts and plateaus in the northwest, and plains in the east. In southwestern China, the Tibetan highlands contain a large, high plateau surrounded by mountains, including Mount Everest. The High Yellow River and the Yangtze River both begin in this region and flow east. This region was once the independent state of Tibet. It became part of China in the 1950s, but has remained fairly isolated because of its mountainous terrain and cold, windy climate. Tibet experiences snowstorms, but is otherwise very dry. Few people or animals can survive this rocky, icy wasteland, which has little land suitable for growing crops or grazing. The Tibetan people obtain some of their food, clothing, and transportation from the yaks that inhabit the region. Northwestern China is a desert region with a small population. It contains the Ordos Desert, the Taklamakan Akan Desert, and part of the Gobi Desert. It also contains mountains including the Tian Shan Range, as well as China's lowest point, the Turpan Depression, which is 505 feet below sea level. This area has a harsh climate and is isolated from the more populous eastern part of China. The mountainous south and desert-like north in western China are separated by the Xianling Mountains. This mountain range runs east to west, forming a border that keeps warm, moist air to the south and cool, dry air to the north. This creates conditions good for growing wheat and millet north of the mountains and rice south of the mountains. The Sichuan Basin, just south of the Xianling Mountains, is one of the main agricultural regions in China. Here, farmers cut unique terraced fields into the hillsides. And we can see right here the terraced farming. So the northeastern part of China has some of the best land for farming, along with rich natural resources. A fertile yellow soil called loess is carried by the wind and deposited on the plateaus. Rivers carve valleys into the soft ground and provide irrigation for farming. To keep the valleys from flooding and destroying crops, the Chinese people have built dams and reservoirs to control the flow of rivers. The North China Plain is home to the world's longest artificial waterway, the Grand Canal, which stretches 1,000 miles. Using water for irrigation also helps control flooding. China's Fertile Triangle is an area between Nanjing, Shanghai, and Hangzhou. It has an ideal combination of level ground, rainfall, and fertile soil that makes it perfect for agriculture. Coal, iron ore, forests, and harbors also make the northeastern region an important source of industry and transportation. And we'll move on to water. Eastern China has a long coastline along the Pacific Ocean. It borders the Bohai Sea and Korea Bay in the north, the East China Sea along the central coastline, and the South China Sea in the south. The East China Sea and the South China Sea are separated by the Taiwan Strait, a 112-mile stretch of water that separates Taiwan from mainland. The Yangtze River is the largest river in Asia and the third largest river in the world. People also refer to it as the Changjiang or the Yangtze. It stretches 3,915 miles from the Tibetan highlands of the southwest across the country to the East China Sea at Shanghai. And it contains several dams and locks that help control flooding, allow for transportation, and provide hydroelectric power. In 2006, construction of the Three Gorges Dam was completed, making it the world's largest electricity generating plant. This required the relocation of more than 1 million people, as 13 cities and 1,300 villages were flooded when created. The Yellow River, or the Honghe, is named for the silt carried by the water that gives it a yellow appearance. It begins in the western highlands and winds across China, first to the far north and then dipping to the south, until it ends at the Bohai Sea in the east. China's third longest river system, the Pearl River, flows from the west to the east through southern China. It empties into the South China Sea near Macau. The Pearl River is named for the pearly shells that are found along the river bottom near the city of Guangzhou. And now we'll move into the climate. So China has a greatly varying climate due to its great size and variety of land and water features. The deserts of the north can reach temperatures greater than 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer and below 30 degrees in the winter. Below negative 30 degrees in the winter. Tibet and areas of northeast China have long, cold winters, while the coastal areas in the south have tropical climate. China receives most of its rainfall in the summer due to seasonal winds called monsoons. The monsoons blow cold, dry air from the west to east in the winter and warm, moist air from east to west during the summer. The northern desert receives little precipitation, while the southeastern coast can receive up to 80 inches per year. In late summer, China experiences typhoon season. Typhoon is the name for a hurricane in the southern hemisphere. Huge windstorms that begin over the Pacific Ocean or South China Sea blow in toward the coastline and hundreds of miles inland. The strong winds and heavy rainfall cause flooding, damage to roads and buildings, and loss of life. In 2013, China was hit by Typhoon Haiyan, one of the most powerful storms ever observed. Regular monsoons and typhoons cause rivers to swell and low-lying areas to flood. A deadly flood occurred in 1998 around the Yangtze River, causing more than 4,000 deaths. Located close to the infamous Ring of Fire, China also experiences regular earthquakes. The Ring of Fire circles the Pacific Ocean, where Earth's shifting crust causes volcanic and earthquake activity. Some of history's deadliest earthquakes have occurred in China, including the 1920s Haiyuan earthquake, where more than 234,000 people were killed. The 1976 Tangshan earthquake, where more than 242,000 people were killed. And the 2008 Sichuan earthquake, more than 68,000 people were killed. In addition to the loss of life, earthquakes cause extensive and costly damage to buildings, roads, dams, and other infrastructure. And we're going to end there and pick back up with the everyday life in China. I'm sorry about the announcements. It's our Wednesday announcements here.